Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a really powerful idea from Simon Sinek's work on how great leaders build success that actually lasts. It all comes down to a simple but profound question about the kind of game you're really playing.
Now, think about this for a second. This isn't just some clever riddle. It was the actual reality for the United States in Vietnam. They were winning battle after battle, just dominating on the ground, but in the end, they still lost the war. How is that possible? Well, that very paradox holds the key to understanding two completely different ways to look at business, leadership, and, heck, even life itself.
Okay, so this brings us right to the core of it all. It turns out there are really only two kinds of games we can play. And here's the kicker. Most of us are playing one type of game without even realizing there's another option on the table.
So on one side, you have what we call finite games. Think of a football game, right? You know who the players are, there are fixed rules, and at the end, somebody wins and somebody loses. It's clear. But then you have infinite games. Think about something like your career or a marriage. There's no finish line, is there? You don't win at marriage. The whole point is just to keep playing, to stay in the game.
And this right here is the absolute crucial point. Business is the ultimate infinite game. I mean, think about it. There's no point where someone gets handed a trophy and is declared the winner of business. It just doesn't happen. And yet so many leaders are out there chasing that imaginary trophy, playing as if they can actually win.
So what happens when you do that? When you play an infinite game like business with a finite mindset? Well, you walk straight into a trap. And it's a trap that can create a real quagmire for you and your entire organization. Microsoft in the 2000s is just the perfect example of this trap in action. Their leaders were obsessed with one finite goal: beat Apple. And this quote from their CEO at the time, Steve Ballmer, says it all. He was so focused on the existing rules of the game, on market share, that he completely missed that the iPhone wasn't just another phone. It was about to change the entire world.
And you can see the direct result of that thinking right here. Microsoft's music player, the Zune, was built for one reason and one reason only: to beat the iPod. It was a purely reactive product. And this timeline, well, it makes it painfully clear what happens when you do that. It was a swift and, honestly, pretty predictable failure.
You know, this kind of tunnel vision doesn't just lead to bad products. It poisons a company's entire culture. When the only goal is to hit short-term numbers and crush the competition, trust just disappears. People stop working together, innovation stalls, and you put the entire organization on a path toward, well, eventual failure.
So if that's the trap, what's the alternative? It's all about a fundamental shift in how you think. It's about adopting an infinite mindset. And with this, the goal isn't just stability, it's resilience. You're not trying to build a company that can last. You're trying to build one that can be transformed by change.
Okay, let me give you a fantastic example. Victor Knox, the company that makes the Swiss Army knife. After 9/11, new security rules meant that literally overnight, their main product was banned from all carry-on luggage. For most companies, that would have been a death sentence. Game over.
But Victor and Knox had an infinite mindset. So instead of panicking and laying everyone off, they saw the crisis as an opportunity. And you can see it right here in the numbers. They innovated like crazy, they diversified, and they totally transformed their business. They didn't just survive, they became stronger and more resilient than ever before.
And that right there, that illustrates the difference perfectly. Finite-minded players, they are terrified of surprises and disruptions. But infinite-minded players, they expect them, and they use them as fuel to get stronger. They build organizations that aren't just stable, but truly resilient.
So how do you actually do this? How do you lead in a way that your organization doesn't just survive a crisis, but actually gets strengthened by it? Well, it all starts with having what Sinek calls a just cause.
A just cause isn't a goal you can win. It's more like a vision of a future world you want to build. A future that's so appealing that people are willing to make real sacrifices to help make it happen. This is the kind of thing that makes your employees work for more than a paycheck, and it makes your customers feel like they're supporting a mission, not just buying a product.
So what makes a good just cause? Well, it has a few essential ingredients. First, it has to be for something positive, not just against a competitor. Second, it has to be primarily for the benefit of other people, not just for the company. And third, it needs to be resilient enough to inspire people for generations.
Let's look at a quick example. Here's a classic finite goal: to be the #1 GPS device maker. Sounds okay, right? But what happens when you get there? Then what? Or, even worse, What happens when smartphones come along and make your entire product obsolete? It's like a finish line at the edge of a cliff.
Now compare that to an infinite just cause. And here's the real wow moment. This was Microsoft's original vision. This is the very vision they lost during their whole Zune era, and it's the one they've returned to with incredible success today. One is a limited goal, the other is this endless horizon of possibility that can guide you through any change.
And this brings the whole conversation right back to you. Because in your own work, in your career, you have a fundamental choice to make every single day.
You can choose to play the finite game, chasing wins, beating your rivals, hitting those quarterly numbers. And hey, that path brings some temporary thrills. Or you can play the infinite game. You can focus on advancing a cause, on competing only against yourself, and on building for long-term value. And that's the path that leads to lasting fulfillment.
And that really is the main takeaway here. It's all about asking yourself this one incredibly powerful question. Are you playing to win, or are you playing to keep playing? Because the game you choose and the mindset you bring to it, well, that's what will ultimately change everything.